Call regular council meeting to order, January 21st, 7 o'clock, the city of St. John. Any additions to the agenda? Council have anything? No, let it show there's no additions to the agenda. Any citizen comments?
I've got a comment.
Go ahead.
To the city crew, you guys did a great job on removal of the snow. I just want to acknowledge that and say thank you.
Is there any particular you want us to do that for?
I think the way you
hard
did
to
it's
make everybody
fine.
happy.
It's off the streets. So just want to say thank you. Bob, I'm done.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? We'll close the citizen comments. We gotta adjourn the regular council meeting and go into a public hearing for CDBG grant for Hood's Haven. And at this time with a motion, we'll close, adjourn
I'd make a motion to adjourn the regular council meeting and open the public hearing for the CDBG grant for the Hood Haven building.
Got a motion on the table, here's a second.
Second.
Got a second by Sarah. Any more discussion? All in favor? Passes 3-0. During the council meeting and into public hearing. And I'll turn that over to Ryan.
You can put it there. So she can see it too.
I want to get you to Stephanie Marsh. Stephanie is, we're required by the grant to have a grant administrator, and her organization is designated as an organization to provide that service to us. And so she's going to go through and kind of explain everything, answer questions that you guys have about any of this. We've been working on this obviously since this past summer to this point. So, Stephanie, can you hear everybody? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Hi, Kimmy.
Yep,
Yes.
welcome.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So like Brian mentioned, I'm Stephanie Marsh. I'm with SCED, which is the South Central Kansas Economic Development District. I'm the program manager for the grants department. We specialize in grant writing and grant administration services. So we have a long history of partnering with various agencies and working with our small rural communities to find grants to address, various needs throughout the city. So we've been working with Ryan since last year on getting an application put together for the Mater building for a CDBG commercial rehab grant. So the purpose of tonight's meeting is to basically have time for the public to have any public comment on the project if they wish to do so. You all have the budget there for review, so you can kind of see how the money is split out as far as what the grant request amount is, what the match requirement is, and then what the total budget cost is going to be for the anticipated project. There's also resolutions that Commerce requires to be signed and submitted with the application. So that application packet, you should have that as well. There's a lot of guidelines through HUD, who is the kind of overseer of these funds, that the city agrees to certain items that they require to be able to receive federal dollars. And so that is the purpose behind those resolutions that are in front of you today. So basically this time is just to review that. I can answer any questions that you all have. If the public has any comment or any questions as well, there's time for that. So I'll just kind of turn it over to you all to see what questions you have, and we can go from there.
I've got a question for you. I'm Aaron, by the way. On page 2, last paragraph. I mean, how? And correct me, council members. My memory doesn't recall us reaching out to EcoDevo for assistance. So, how is this part of a form letter that you just developed to send for the application process?
I don't have a copy of your full council packet, so I'm not exactly sure what resolution you're looking at. Could you tell me what the title of?
It's under section C. It's a commercial rehab application narratives. Section C, efforts of the community to revitalize downtown commercial district 20 points. Are you familiar with that page?
I think Ryan.
So that is on the narrative portion that we work at. Part of the requirement that Commerce has is they want to see what efforts the community has done to revitalize their downtown commercial area. So not just specific to the project the application is being submitted for, but for efforts of the city as a whole. So that is kind of what that is talking about. So I know Ryan had some information to put in there as well as input, I believe from Pam, the clerk, just on what activities have taken place over the last several years. So that is kind of where that information has come from.
Okay, so in the event that it's not accurate, what do we do?
You just reach out to myself and I can add in any corrections that you guys have. So that's kind of part of the collaboration process is we send these, kind of to and from between all involved parties so that you guys can provide information on what you want included in that narrative section. So if there's things that you see that are inaccurate or there's things that you want to add, like maybe there's efforts that maybe aren't included in this narrative, by all means, reach out to me and let me know, and I can most definitely make changes and additions to that.
Aaron and Sarah,
Yeah.
am I remembering? Did we or did we? I don't remember.
I can explain that comment, that thing. When we were involved with the original part of the building, Pam did reach out to me about the building because it was involved with the original organization, and Mark Bryant was part of that. I think I might have just wrote that. I could change that. That's totally fine. But I did have conversation with Mark and Pam in regard to that building ownership and helping Mark get it out of limbo and for us to gain ownership of it so that we could do something with the building.
So actually.
If you would like me to edit that, I can.
Yeah, this is not a part of this grant. That was like before they even
That was
owned
a
the
separate
building.
conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So that needs to be taken out.
That's part of the narrative, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I can edit that. That's fine.
And everything else, as far as the way I read it, I think Pam's summary of everything and the clerk's report summarized everything pretty well as it being backed up with what you're asking us to approve tonight. My question is to you, I just have it, I don't like surprises down the road. So when I hear something like, EcoDevo is not gonna hold us accountable to pay the bills if something goes south, I look at it like this. I haven't seen their financial statement. I don't know if that money's gonna be put aside, especially $400,000 for this project, in a separate account, if, for 12 months. How does that normally work?
So Commerce does require with the application submission that there is a verification of funds. So whatever match amount is included in the budget, the supplier of those funds has to provide evidence that they do have those funds in hand, whether it be through a construction loan and they get a bank letter, from their bank stating that they're pre-approved for the full dollar amount that they will need, or if it's cash that they have in hand in a bank account, they can provide either a letter from their banker stating they have that amount readily available, or they can submit a bank statement that shows what their ending balance is. So that is a requirement that they show that one way or another that those funds are available to them. So we do have that funding verification already from the Economic Development Agency that the funds are available for their, I think it's $148,000 that they're putting up as match money for the grant. So we do already have that confirmed. Basically how it works, if the grant is awarded and when bills are being requested to be paid, those go to the city and to myself as a grant administrator, and then I prepare the cash disbursement request, and we're required to split each request for payment. Some of it comes from the CDBG grant funds, and then the remainder of it has to be paid by the local match funds. So typically it's a 75-25% split. So when we get an invoice in and we're ready to submit that for reimbursement to Commerce from those grant funds, we request 75% be paid by grant funds and then 25% come from the match funds. So typically, the city can invoice the building owner for that 25% at the time that those invoices come in, and then the building owner then pays their 25% portion. So when Commerce pays their 75% portion, the city has all of the funds readily available to issue a check for the full payment of the invoice that's been submitted.
Got another question for you. I understand that, and thank you for clarifying that. So, say something goes south and we are required to pay the money back to the grant people. Does this resolution we're signing that with EcoDevo, does that, I would think if we're applying for the grant as a city, the state's gonna, or wherever we're getting this money, they're gonna hold us as a grant person that applied for the grant responsible for payment, regardless if we have an agreement with EcoDevo that they're gonna cover it. You guys would still come after the city first, and then we would have to go after economic development. Am I thinking about this correctly?
Not necessarily. With this particular program, it's very common for cities to have a memorandum of understanding between themselves and the building owner. So basically that understanding would ensure that the liability for any monies that may be required to be paid back to Commerce falls on the building owner and not the grantee. So typically that is included with the grant application. It is very common. Okay. I would say 90% of my commercial rehab projects, the city has an MOU with the building owner to basically shift that financial responsibility onto the building owner so the city is not held liable. The check may still come from the city, but that money is going to be required to come from the building owner. And Commerce, that's typically the standard practice for commercial rehab because they're aware that the building owner is the one that is getting that money at the end of the day, right? This is bringing a building back to life, going to bring tax dollars into your city, but at the end of the day, the building owner is the one who gets the primary benefit. So it's very common for that MOU to be standard practice, and Commerce understands that if something were to go south with that MOU, that the city is not liable for paying that back. It falls onto the building owner's shoulders to pay that.
So, have you seen the letter of intent from the prospects to purchase the building?
I have reviewed the agreement. I didn't see a letter of intent, but I have seen the purchase agreement.
Oh, purchase of the same. Okay. So is that normally the protocol that you've seen when this type of project's being undertaken?
Most projects that I've undertaken, the building owner is going to maintain ownership and act as either a property manager or their own business is going to go into it. It's not completely uncommon to have an agreement where the building will sell. Commerce does allow that. There are just certain rules and regulations that have to be followed. So I don't really have any concerns with that piece of it because there is an exemption under the federal guidelines that allow for that. It's just the steps have to be followed.
Okay. I think that answers all my questions.
Just for the record, what is the purchase price of this building once it's done?
$180,000.
$180,000?
Yeah.
So you're gonna tell me you're gonna put $419,000 in a building that you're gonna get $180,000 back out of it?
Correct. Well, I'm passing on
That's
some.
taxpayer money now, right?
Well, I mean, we're not. We're making money off the project for one. Second,
How are you gonna make money from 180
Well,
to?
300,000 is coming from the federal government,
yes.
Yeah, but that's taxpayer money.
and it's going to somebody, so it might as well go into our community.
Yeah.
So let me.
If we don't
Sorry, real
use
quick,
it,
Bob. Sorry.
Stafford's
Let me
gonna
say
go.
something.
I don't disagree with the sentiment of
I
it.
do see what you're saying, Bob. I do. The issue is that whatever is put into some of these buildings, the valuation will never equal what you invest in the building. And so that's kind of our situation. And we've looked at several buildings that we want to renovate. And whatever we put into it, we've talked to the appraiser's office, and they've told us, it's only going to reach this much. It'll never go beyond this. And so that's kind of the situation we're in is, the valuations of buildings, they don't change much if you dump a lot of money into them. So, I mean, that's kind of where we're at. And so we are passing savings on to the next owner, but we're also selling it for a price that is reasonable for St. John. So,
Yeah, I don't disagree with the sentiment that taxpayers shouldn't have to pay for it. On the flip side, this program exists for this situation almost specifically, where you have a deteriorating downtown that's gonna cost $450,000 to renovate a building to put a business into, and the only way someone's incentivized to do so and not just let it deteriorate is
Has anybody done any checking on what it would cost to tear it down, put a new building in?
well, we're building houses, and I mean, just to build a house without tearing something down is close to $300,000. And so, if you're tearing a building down like that, you might also damage the buildings beside it.
yeah,
If you tear it down,
it's more complicated because it's in the downtown and
Yeah.
you've got your
Right, I know, you
fronts.
got a Siamese well,
Yeah.
probably, or you got two walls, I don't know, I haven't looked at it.
yeah.
But I keep in the back of my mind, we've got a gray studio we've been working on 6 years and still ain't done.
It's completed.
To my knowledge.
It's mostly completed now, and it should be open this year.
That's
And
a
who
separate.
is somebody gonna own that, or?
It's a nonprofit. It's owned by a nonprofit.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's a separate issue.
all right.
I just want
I'm
to keep
sorry.
on
I
track just
apologize.
for this.
I apologize.
I just had a question. There's a note on this budget about 25% project total match amount of being 104,766, and then but at the bottom of that note says match will be at 36% max grant request of 300,000. So is that just taking the additional funds because we're only going to get 300,000?
Yeah, the maximum
So
is
there's
300.
36%.
Yeah.
Is what the share is because we're going
Yeah.
over
Yes.
the maximum amount.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was clear on what that
Yeah.
meant. Okay. Will this require bids for all the pieces of construction?
Yeah.
Once we get the
Yes.
funds or
Yeah.
approval?
There's a bid process. Is she still there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And
Yes.
as far as and Wyckoff is going to bid as well, right?
He's not bidding. Because
Wasn't there something in there saying that?
no, he won't bid.
Did I
He's-
read it incorrectly?
He's gonna put his offices there once he buys the building. But the kind of construction we're doing with the building is not the kind that he does. He does
Right.
boring.
I understand what you're saying. I
Yeah.
think I read something differently, so
Oh,
I'm going
okay.
to check that.
Okay, okay.
I mean, it obviously doesn't apply to this, but would
Well, I
that be
would-
considered a
Conflict of interest, of course, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say, I don't think that would be kosher.
Yeah, just to kind of give some clarification on how kind of the next steps are. So once the application is submitted, Commerce does an initial review of that application. They schedule a site visit to come out and take a look at the building, just so they can kind of get a visual of the current condition of the building. They want to walk through with the building owner and the architect, kind of what the plans are, just to kind of give them a better idea of what the project actually entails. After that site visit, the rep at Commerce then kind of gives their recommendation to the review board, because he is not the one who makes the final decision on if the grant is awarded or not. It has to go to kind of an outside review panel, but he makes his recommendation. It goes to the review panel, and they review the application, just to make sure that there's nothing missing, that there's nothing that could potentially disqualify the application from consideration, and then they move on to the scope of the project if they feel like it's going to be a good fit for the program, and if they want to recommend it to the Lieutenant Governor for funding. And then it goes to that final review where they determine if they're going to award it or not. And then once they make a decision on the award, they notify the city and whoever submits the application, which would be myself, of a tentative award. Once the grant is awarded and the grant agreement is signed by all parties, that then kicks off the environmental review process. with it being HUD dollars, we have to do an environmental review, just for impact, what impact could this project have on the environment surrounding it. That usually takes,
Takes 6.
1 to 2 months,
Sure.
just to gather all information. And then once the environmental review period is over and that has been accepted by Commerce, that's when it can then be put out to bid. So Hernley is going to partner with Ryan and myself to provide assistance for the bidding process. So we'll put up bid packets out, notify contractors to try to cast as wide of a net as possible to get as many contractors involved. Just because that makes it more competitive. You usually always get better bids the more contractors you have attend your bid tour. And then once you get all of your bids in, the city does a review of those. Typically, the award always goes to the lowest bidder unless the city has concerns about the contractor who submitted the lowest bid. But typically, it always goes to the lowest bidder. So that's kind of the step-by-step process of kind of how everything kind of gets moving.
Okay, well, thanks for explaining that. And to go back to my previous conversation, we found that what I thought I read, I did read. So that, just for, if you need to know, it's in the narrative, page 6. And it says Wyckoff Construction will put in a proposal to do the project. If the proposal meets specification and beats other companies' proposals, then they will do the project. This is
That's
primarily the way the Wyckoff Construction gets projects.
That's his company business plan. That's part of the narrative. It's not about the project itself. It's about him doing business and how he does business. And so we have to put in a business plan that explains his business and how his business operates as part of the narrative. And so that has has to do with his boring company and what he
Okay.
does. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was misled by what I read,
I will
Okay.
too.
but I think we all were.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I see that now. I
Sorry.
see what you're talking about.
so going on to page 8 of the timeline, what's your personal feeling of how we look to get this if we proceed? Is it still a 50-50?
So with the commercial rehab program, it is actually an open round, which means it is non-competitive. So it's competitive in the way that you have to apply while Commerce still has money available. So you are competing kind of against the clock with other agencies who want to also submit an application for this program. But and typically the grants are always awarded because it's non-competitive. It's mostly a first come, first serve type of program because it is non-competitive. If for whatever reason Commerce finds an issue with the application and they decide to what they call threshold it because it doesn't meet their minimum standards, the application can be fixed and it can be resubmitted. And that it's not going to cost Ryan any additional money because essentially our grant fee is a one-time fee that he's paid. And then we just can submit the application as many times as it takes to get it awarded. But yeah, it's not competitive like some of the other programs through Commerce are, but there is also no guarantee that it's going to get funded. But typically you submit an application in time while they still have money, you're going to get awarded.
Okay.
You have any questions? I saw the report, architect's report. Are there more specific drawings and plans, or does that not come until after grants are awarded? I mean, I just didn't know if there was more specific
Yeah, there will.
drawings, because it just seems like it's kind of
Yeah.
vague, and I mean, I know the budget was drawn from something, but
Yeah.
it seems a little vague at the moment.
Yeah, there will definitely be architectural drawings, but I think that's once we get.
After?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if that needed to be part of the application process, or,
Yeah, they're just required to submit that preliminary engineering report that kind of goes through the current state of the building, what needs to be fixed, different alternatives that were considered, and but then their fee that's in the budget, that $31,000 that's under architectural services, that is their fee in those bid ready plans. So basically, upon notice of award, they intend on getting started on getting those plans ready for when the bidding process is ready to happen. But like I said, it usually takes a little bit to get there just because the grant agreement has to be signed. We have to complete that environmental review. So I believe that they would have ample time to get their drawings ready for the bid tour, if they can start as soon as the award would be announced, since we do have a few steps to get through before that bid tour is ready to go.
No, that makes sense. You don't want to spend the 30,000 if the grant's not going to get awarded. So that makes sense.
Correct.
Just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that that wasn't needed as part of the application. So.
Stephanie, Danny Lynch here, from the city attorney. On the statement of assurances and certifications, number 5 says that the chief executive officer or other officer of the grantee approved by Commerce, and then A, consents to assume the status of a responsible federal official under the National Environmental Policy Act. Do you have somebody that can be appointed as that other officer? I think that's asking too much of Bob as the mayor to put that on him.
I couldn't hear everything you were saying. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The mic was cutting out.
Do you have somebody that can be appointed as the other officer that's going to assume the status of the responsible federal official under the National Environmental Policy Act? It's 5A on the statement of assurances and certifications.
Yeah, so that's kind of part of our, that is always covered in the environmental review, which SCAD handles as the grant administrator. So this resolution is basically stating that the city will comply with it, but that falls on me as the grant administrator. So our environmental review covers everything that's listed in here. It covers housing, it covers EPA requirements, labor standards. Basically everything in here is items that are covered either in the environmental review process or post-award, like for those federal wage requirements. That's something that I handle. I do all of those weekly payroll reviews. So yes, this is all handled through the grant administrator. So the city is signing off that they will comply with those, but the grant administrator takes on that responsibility, which is why CDBG, you have to have a grant administrator to run this, because like you said, this is a lot to put on someone at the city who has other responsibilities. So it's required to be signed by the mayor because they have to acknowledge it, but all of these fall under the grant administrator's duties.
Okay. And will there be something officially appointing you to that spot, or how do we have the paperwork to cover that?
We have a grant administration contract that basically covers all of these requirements. There's an attachment that basically lists all the things that we are required to comply with, that's required under HUD guidelines. And these are all included in there in that grant administration agreement, that we comply and follow with all of those requirements that HUD sets forth.
Do you want a copy of that?
I probably would if I could see that.
I don't think we have a grant administration contract for this project yet. With the grant administration contract, we have 3 parties that sign. It would be SCAD, the city, and the building owner, and we haven't put that out yet.
Okay.
Even though we're hired as the grant administrator, I typically wait until we get a little bit closer to the application submission window. Some cities don't even want to sign it until after the grant is awarded. There is language in there that stipulates that this contract is only good if the grant is awarded. So it's not like we would hold the city to anything if the grant is not awarded. But yeah, I haven't put that out yet. But I can definitely get that prepped and sent out this week if you guys want to go ahead and have that now.
I think we should.
I'd at least like to see it.
Okay. Yep, I will make a note and I will get that sent out by Friday. I can send it to Pam and then I'll copy Ryan on it as well. Because like I said, it's going to be a 3-party signature line.
Okay. Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah, no problem.
Do you have anything, Sarah?
I'm assuming these resolutions need to be passed in regular council.
Yes.
We done with the public hearing?
Do these
I
need to be
can't
passed in
remember.
the public hearing or in the regular council?
The resolution.
Stephanie, the resolutions, do you want those passed in the regular council meeting or as part of this?
Public hearing?
Yeah, I think we would pass in the regular council meeting. I think we'd pass them in the regular council meeting unless you tell me otherwise.
Yeah, they don't have to be passed now. I just like to at least have them available for review. If you guys want to wait and pass it at your regular council meeting and sign them then, that's totally fine.
Okay.
Okay.
You just have to be available for the public to comment on them if they have any concerns about anything or questions on anything. So this is just a time for the council and the city to kind of review all of the forms that are required to go with the grant application and ask questions or make comments if they choose to. But yeah, if you guys want to hold on approving until your council meeting, that's fine with me.
Well, it's kind of semantics. We're in the middle of our regular council meeting. We adjourned to do the public hearing, so yeah, it was just more a question of order and what's appropriate. Application is due the 1st.
Yeah, we're gonna submit on the 1st.
Okay. Are these resolutions critical to that? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Does have anything else, or
I don't.
go back to regular?
Bob, you have any more questions?
I don't.
Does anyone have any other questions or comments on the project that they'd like to put out?
I don't think we do. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie.
I do have one
No worries.
question.
I guess Bob.
Was this advertised as a public meeting?
It was, yes.
It was, okay.
Okay.
I guess we'll
Well,
say.
as always,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
if anyone has anything that they think of after the fact, don't hesitate to reach out. Pam has my contact information. I'm more than happy to have a phone conversation, or if you guys just want to shoot me an email if that's easier, just let me know. I'm always available to provide support and answer any questions. If you do have any edits or anything that you'd like to add to that narrative now that you've had a chance to review it, just let myself or Pam or Ryan know, and we can most definitely make any changes. My plan is when we have kind of all the narratives nailed down and Ryan has all the information in there that needs to go in there from his end, and I've kind of wrapped up my final review and any edits, I usually always send those to my contact at the city, just because you guys are, having your name on the application. I want you all to be happy with what we submit for consideration. So I usually always send the final draft review to my contact at the city to do a final approval that yes, you guys are happy with it. So that's kind of my plan, is once we get everything nailed down in the narratives, to get that over to Pam to circulate to you all if you want to have just kind of a final view on what's being submitted under your guys' city name. So that's kind of my plan. So be on the lookout for that over the next few weeks once we get all of that ironed out.
Okay, doke. I'm sure Pam will. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie.
Yes, thank you all. Have a good rest of your evening.
You too.
Bye.
Close the public hearing,
Um,
call regular council meeting back to order.
You don't need a motion, because
You
he, as the mayor,
Oh.
can call it.
I'm fine with that.
I didn't know.
Less words for me. All good.
Any more discussion on the public hearing after we're back in the regular council meeting?
So do we want to vote on these resolutions after the corrections are made? I would feel comfortable doing that.
The resolution itself doesn't have anything to do with the narrative specifically.
Yes. So the resolution is for the, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, the one of them, the number 3, is just stating that we're saying that property is a blighted property for the reasons stated in there, so it's eligible for the program. And then
Which
number
we've already
2,
done, so we don't need to read past that, do we?
There's a specific language that they had put in there, so we do have to do that, I guess.
Okay. So that's this one.
and
Yeah, that
then
one's
the other one says that we're going to apply for it, gonna authorize Bob as the mayor to sign off on the application. And then that the city's not contributing any funds towards it. So,
Yeah.
that's what those are saying. They're not
Yeah, these have no.
not
bearing
getting
on
into the narrative or anything
Yeah,
like
okay.
that.
So that being said, I would make a motion to pass resolution number 2025-02, Resolution certifying legal authority to apply for the CDGB grant.
Motion on the table. Here a second.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Passes 3-0.
And just to be clear, the ones that were passed are the updated ones that I sent to Pam, not the
Correct.
original ones.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Yes.
You got
Okay.
that copy, Pam?
Yes,
Okay.
yep. It's all been, I changed them all out on a packet, so you're
Got
good.
it.
Yep.
I printed mine, so I got it.
Oh, well, here, take
Here's
one
the
from
summary,
here.
yeah.
I'll get the narrative edited and sent to you guys.
I will sign it at the
Okay.
end of the council.
Yep.
And then I'd make a motion to pass resolution number 2025-03, declaring 312 North Main Street blighted.
Got a motion on the table. Here a second.
Second.
Motion made by
Aaron.
Aaron and a second by Aaron Raines. Any more discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Passes 3-0. Okay, does that take care of that?
Yes.
All right, moving on.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan.
Consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the regular council meeting for January 7th, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve regular council meeting for January 7th, 2024.
Got a motion on the table by Aaron Raines. Here a second.
Second.
Second by Sarah Wolf. All in favor? All opposed? Passes 3-0. I'd entertain a motion for appropriation ordinance 124 API in the amount of $47,391.80.
Make a motion to approve appropriation ordinance 124 API for $47,391.80.
Got a motion on the table. Here a second.
Second.
Second by Aaron Gleason. All in favor? All opposed? Passes 3-0. I'd entertain a motion to appropriation ordinance 012125 AP in the amount of $82,219.95.
Make a motion to approve appropriation ordinance 012125 AP for $82,219.95.
Got a motion on the table, Aaron Raines. Here a second.
Second.
Second by Sarah Wolf. Any more discussion? All in favor? Passes 3-0. I'd entertain a motion for Mansell Construction Incorporated in the amount of $3,350.
Make a motion to approve Mansell Concrete Construction Incorporated bill or invoice for $3,350 even.
Motion on the table by Aaron Raines. Here a second.
Second.
Second by Kyle Gleason. All in favor?
Aaron
All opposed.
Gleason. Aaron Gleason.
What did I say?
Kyle.
Like I said.
I'm sorry.
How does it feel?
Well, I entertain a motion for Rosencrest Bemis Drilling Company in the amount of $6,988.27.
I'll make a motion to approve Rosencrafts, Krantz,
Krantz.
Bemis Drilling Company for the amount of $6,988.27.
Got a motion on the table. By the way, that is well number 6.
Okay.
I hear a second.
Second.
Second by Aaron Gleason.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Correct.
Almost.
All in
Wow.
favor? All opposed?
Got
Passes
a lot of names
3-0.
today.
Okay, moving on. Electric Department. Curtis.
The Cat Mechanics came and did the yearly service on the 2 Cat generators. They'll, send the oil and the antifreeze off to the lab and send us back a diagnostic sheet of what they find and all that, so we can put it on file. And Fairview Mechanics will be back hopefully tomorrow, start working on that Fairbanks again.
Is that part of the CAT contract we signed? So invoices for that, will they still need to be approved, even though we
No, because you guys approved the specific
approved the
amount.
specific amount?
Yep.
So it's only if there's like a
Yeah,
variance to
they
that.
came out and changed the
Yes.
air filters and batteries and oil and all that.
Did that report come back good?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, you haven't seen it. You might want to look, make sure there ain't nothing on it.
They just came, I think it was Thursday, Friday last week, yeah, Thursday and Friday last week. So,
Did they send out an itemized if they find anything?
It's a pretty good sized packet they send back, so.
Yeah.
As soon as I get it, I'll let you guys know.
Anything else for electric department, Curtis?
Just regular putting up services and snow removal and everything else related.
Council, got any questions?
Bore go fine for under the railroad?
What's that?
I noticed you,
Oh, I got a trench from underground in,
oh, okay.
not a board, trench.
Oh, nice.
Yep, I'm getting all the material rounded up on that and find out I'm just gonna be getting all that.
Yep.
I'll sticker shock you guys on that.
Anything else?
No.
Jason Watts not here?
He's not here, but he
You got
wants-
anything, Pam?
Well, he just wanted me to tell you guys that he's not feeling well tonight. He fell yesterday and hit his head pretty good. So he'll be out for a little while, maybe the rest of this week. He's fine, but he just
Taking it easy.
yeah. So he'll be gone the rest of the week. But the rest of the guys have been showing the two new guys the rope and the routes and all that crap stuff. So excuse me.
Understood.
They got 13 knots?
Okay.
Yeah, we like honesty.
Is that
We like
everything?
honesty, Pam. We like honesty.
Can we?
Moving on to the clerk report.
Police department, Tori.
Oh, is that?
I just want to give you guys a heads up about the radios that we're gonna have to purchase in the near future. The FBI is regulating it that everybody has to go encrypted, and our radios don't have that capability. So as a county, we're wanting to go 800s, and those are like 6,000 to 8,000 for a handheld radio a piece. So it's a have to that we're gonna have to do, where we won't have radios.
What is 800s mean? What,
It's just like,
The bandwidth.
yeah.
okay.
So basically, right now we're on UHF. We went from VHF to UHF, and they're making room for all cell phones. So basically, they use that bandwidth too, evidently, that frequency. So,
So they've set aside a new frequency that's
well, no.
specific
So
to-
800
We
basically.
have 800 in
Yeah.
our cars now, but we don't have 800 handhelds.
Hmm.
So it's like
Okay.
what KHP's on, like Pawnee County went to 800, Pratt's going, right?
Basically, when we switched to UHF as a county, because it's not really a city decision, it's a county decision, and all cities just follow what the county does.
Right, because
they're the ones-
dispatch.
They're the ones that
Not even
regulate
that.
the channels. So the county actually owns the channels, and we just run off of their channels.
Oh, interesting.
So,
But the thing is, we have to be encrypted, all
Mhm.
CJIS information. So when we run tags or anything like that, and our radios now don't have that capability, so we won't be able to run anything. We won't be able to talk on the radio.
When is the deadline for this?
Well, we have to have a plan by January 2025.
it actually
Oh.
it was actually enacted in January of 2024,
Oh, okay.
but they gave some leeway because it's basically
Four cities can't pay for it.
yeah. Yeah, I mean counties can't. I mean it's a lot of
Smaller
money. We're
communities.
So
can't.
how many do we need?
$2 to $3 million.
We'll need one for each officer.
4? Is that 3 or how many?
Well, we all have our own radios. I mean, just the officers will have to have 5. I mean, it's not even just going to be the police department. Fire's going to have the radios as well. So,
We are looking into a grant,
Oh, okay.
and usually you can get grants for the actual radios. The infrastructure is what's hard to get a grant for. The actual towers and stuff, which that doesn't
But that's
concern
on the
city.
county then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't really concern the city.
So how much are we looking for the police and the fire department?
well, for the police department, I mean, we usually have 3 full-time, 2 part-time, so we got to have radios for
5.
those at least. I mean, and we always have an extra because, I mean, if your radio breaks, you got to be able to have a radio.
So we have 6. We need 6 is what you're saying?
I would say at least
And how much are they a piece?
6,000 to 8,000 right now, but
So
the
six.
price is going to continue to go up because it's a necessity, and you're going to have to get them no matter what. I mean, and that's everybody. It's not just us. It's other counties are having to do the same thing.
So you're gonna need the money from this, the police department's gonna need the money from us, cause it's not part of your budget, or do you have any money in your budget for this?
Well, we have money, but, I mean, we didn't budget for radios that were gonna cost us money. We have like.
I was just curious,
radios.
cause I mean, evidently it's been out there for a year, so.
Well,
said-
Well, we didn't
no.
know, we did not know that
A year
our
ago?
county was going to. This is
Oh.
coming from emergency management, just let us know that
Oh,
we're gonna be
okay.
going. This is, I have not known for a year.
Okay,
This was a decision that emergency management, which is me, we either spend $300,000 to $400,000 to encrypt the UHF we have now, and they're gonna, and in 5 years, if they say, okay, we need that bandwidth, you're gonna have to go to 800. We've just wasted $400,000.
They just had a meeting about this, and then he let all of us, all
Okay.
cities know, hey, we're gonna be going, we're working on a plan. So that's why I'm letting you guys know. They just had their meeting, emergency management, and then I was notified, and so, cause we didn't know for sure they didn't tell us for sure what the plan was gonna be. They didn't know yet.
okay. So what are you thinking, Pam?
So-
Finance wise?
They do have a saving account that they have been putting money back for their vehicle. It's the equipment reserve fund. And they have about $42,000 in there, which will cover this radios. But if they use that,
It depletes the fund for the vehicle.
correct. So they're gonna have to start from zero if they're gonna use all of that for the radio, which it sounded like
But that's where we're
it's a
trying to get grants.
necessity.
So if we get a big enough grant to cover all the radios, it's not gonna be, it'll be a mute point.
I'm just
Right.
telling you
You're
now,
just giving
if
a
we
heads
don't
up.
get the
If we
grant,
don't
that I'm
get
not
the
waiting
grant.
to tell, hey, we didn't get the grant, now we need this money. I'm just telling you, it's a
Yeah.
possibility.
Understood.
There could come to a point where they're like, this is your day. I mean, you have to be encrypted by this time, and we're not gonna have a choice.
Yeah,
Or we're gonna,
Let's-
they're either gonna,
well, that,
which,
hopefully that happens, like, we do get grants, but if not, we still have to have a plan of action.
Yes, I mean, if push come to shove to where they need to have it a certain day, like I said, they have their
Yes.
saving account that we can pay for it, and then if they do get a grant later, we can put it back.
Okay.
That's not a problem. So,
that also has to do with all in-car radios are gonna have to be replaced too.
Oh, okay. I thought, okay.
And that's
Well,
countywide.
I was just saying we have that, we have 800, but they're gonna have to be encrypted.
They're not.
Oh, I thought they
encrypted.
were already.
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
How much are those gonna run?
About the same price.
Okay. So we only have what, three,
just three.
so 6.
I say just three, but yeah, three.
All right, well, that's nice to know. Thanks.
It's, and this isn't gonna happen next month. I mean, we're
I was
talking,
gonna say, what's your grant? I mean, you're looking at grants, so
basically, we have to have a plan by January of 2025. We have to have a plan moving forward,
Okay.
showing that we're,
Yeah.
if we
That's
decide to,
emergency management has to let them know that we are working on it, like we're making the steps to do this.
Yeah.
Not just the city of St. John, the
Okay.
county as a whole
Okay.
has to tell them, this is what we're doing.
I thought it needed to be done by the end of this
No,
month.
no,
No.
no, they
We-
have to tell them,
we
they have
have
to
to have
show that they're working
Okay.
towards being in compliant or whatever.
Any other good news? Nothing else on your list? How's it going for interviewees?
We've had nobody
applications?
apply. I mean, I redid the, what do you call it, the advertisement.
Application.
I redid it,
Yeah.
reposted it, last month, I think it was. I reposted it and redid it and tried to make it more flashy. But I mean, I think a lot of it's gonna come down to like what we're paying everybody around us just up their pay. I mean, you just can't
Well,
compete.
We need to talk about this. If we gotta pay to play.
I think Pratt right now is starting out at 25 uncertified.
Yeah, uncertified. Like we can't compete with that.
What do we start our guys out that are uncertified?
19.
19?
is part-time. Is it
We're
22
just stuck.
for certified?
we
mean-
can't, not within our, they're in the general fund, and like I said, general fund's very tight as
Okay.
far as wiggle rooms and stuff like that. So unless you transfer more of a revenue into the general fund, which that's gonna cause rates increase, like, you're gonna have to increase more, utility rates to be able to transfer more, and it's just,
Is this something we might think about for the budget next year, Just
yes.
in case we need to?
I mean, you can, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't try to offer more, but at least this year, next year, there is no possibility.
Okay, yeah.
So,
We have just you two on the force now?
We have Jonathan who's part-time, but he only does 1 weekend a month.
Well, I think that's gonna get old real quick.
Used to it.
Alright. Well, keep us posted. Anything else? Bob, I'll turn it back to you.
I don't have anything else. You guys got anything else? Oh, city clerk Pam.
Fire chief.
Fire chief, you have anything?
No, just
Okay.
radios, same thing.
Okay. We're down to city clerk now, Bob.
Okay. Pam,
yes.
I think we covered a lot of it.
Yes, so do you guys have any questions about my report? Most of what I have is under new business.
Any questions for Pam?
Just give me a sec there, Bob.
Do what?
Give me 1 second.
Oh, okay.
Oh, let's talk
Take all the
about
time you need.
something that's important to you. The comp time,
Oh, sure.
it's on there.
It's under new business as well.
We got it
Oh,
on
is it?
down.
Yeah,
Oh,
we can
okay.
talk about
We
it.
can talk about it now,
Yeah,
it's your agenda, so.
How do you guys feel about it, Sarah?
Does it complicate, I mean, people do comp time. Does it complicate the tax and accounting side? Because you have to, I mean, there's labor laws about overtime and paying appropriate wages for anything over 40. So how does that, do you get time and a half in comp
Correct.
time as well?
Yes, it go in at time and a half, but you have to use it in like 1 hour increment. So when they use their comp time, and then the taxes will be just like we pay out vacation time basically. The only thing that's different between comp and vacation, that time is going in a time and a half because it's an overtime.
I checked into this with the Department of Labor, and it's just what city and county municipalities do.
Yeah,
And they're the only ones that can do it, I think, is what they said, this way.
that I don't know,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
So, what do you guys think?
I mean, as long as the projects continue to get done and the streets get cleared and, you know, all those things, and that's something that comes down to mostly probably Curtis and Jason,
Correct,
is managing their guys in an
Correct.
appropriate way that it doesn't get abused and that the city business continues to get done with people being off more. But then also, you only get the comp time if you've worked over the 40 hours. So it's not like we're giving an extra 2 weeks vacation. Well, maybe they work enough to get 2 weeks more than,
and
well,
they have been
they've-
informed that just because we're going to there's a possibility of bringing comp time back, that doesn't mean we're not gonna prioritize what needed to be done. You know, it's something that could be done or could have been waited till the next morning during regular time. That's what we're gonna do. We're not gonna like, oh, you know, I'm not gonna get paid for that, I'm just gonna work overtime and then put that into comp. Like,
Well, this is my thought on it.
Yeah.
If there's a problem with people abusing it, you need to let Bob know, and he just needs to get on it right away, so it doesn't become a problem. And
Right.
that's gonna be up to the department heads.
yeah, no, those people I'm talking, that was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Those people are no longer here, and I'm confident with the department heads that we have now that I'm hoping that they will uphold the rules
Yeah.
and the regulations. And obviously, now that Bob is more involved, yeah, he will be
Yeah.
notified.
Yeah, so I'm for it. Do we need to make a motion on
did
this?
you,
or
Yes.
what?
did you include the policy, or is it stated within our?
No, it's just stated in my report, but I can email you the copy
I
that
just,
each
I'm just
employee
curious,
signed.
do they have the choice of one or the other?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, they can break it down, they can get pay, or they can comp time. If they have 4 hours, they can comp 2 and pay 2. That's not a problem.
And, does the comp time have to be used within a certain,
I think she said a year.
At the end of
at the end of the year? I just didn't know if it has to be used within 2 pay periods or something, if you.
No, so
gain it
you
now.
can accumulate, but they all know that they can't accumulate it during the year and they all take off at the same time at the end of December.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, if
It's-
that's the case, then like, they're all known and they're all made aware that vacation has to be scheduled. And
Pam, I have total faith that you can control this. You don't have to
Yeah.
tell us how you're gonna do it. Just
Well,
make sure
I
it doesn't
just-
get abused, and if it does, let
Yeah.
Bob know. That easy.
Yeah. No, I'm fine with it.
yeah, if you guys, I
that's
mean,
the-
that's
if that's
totally up to
preferred.
you guys.
That's the preferred method, and our
Yeah.
supervisors are willing to take on the added, because I mean, it will be an added responsibility of managing that rather than just them getting extra pay, because it's one more thing that you've gotta be aware of. I'm sure
Alright.
Pam will help track it, but
I'll
I'm
make a
stickler
motion to
about
bring
that.
back comp time for the city employees of St. John.
Got a motion on the table by Aaron Raines
Second.
and a second by Sarah. Any more discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Okay, well, that's everything off the list. Go ahead, Bob, take over.
Okay. Danny, you got anything?
No, I think everything I have, we either talked about with the CDBG stuff, or we'll get to here in a minute.
Anybody got any questions for Danny?
No.
Forest Council, please. New business. We've got
Wanna do old
or Fifth
business?
Street Road for Whites.
That'd be under
Stuff
old
in your
business.
Pamphlet about that, I think.
And that one, I got the easements, put together, had questions on a couple people's marital status, Pam has that, so I think those should be,
We'll
Good to
have
go.
Send it out by next week for sure. So, before this week's over, I should be able to send them out.
Do we just normally send it, or would it be nice to take it to them? I mean, I just, if I saw something in the mail, I'd be like, what is going on?
Well, I was thinking about maybe adding a little letter explaining that, this is the project that we're doing. I know that the contract it's not the easiest to read, so I'm thinking about putting a little
Right, and I-
summary together.
I think maybe in one of his emails too, Joel mentioned being able to talk to him, and
Yeah.
if
Oh,
he could, and then
yeah.
he could explain,
either,
this is
I would
what
say
we
either
think's
Joel
gonna happen
or
with it.
if you're comfortable, I would, I would make a meeting with them. And then answer,
Yeah,
take questions, answer questions that you can. Maybe I'm wrong. The only risk with sending a letter with a legal
Yeah.
document is then it almost becomes part of the legal document. So if you're saying, this is the only way we're gonna use it, or, you know, it's not a big deal, nothing's gonna happen to your property, well, and then we do something based on this piece of paper that is binding to us, and then they say, well, this letter said that
Well,
nothing
you know,
really changed.
I always feel better too, sitting down with somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is what it says, this is how it's gonna work. Yeah, just trying to make sure that everybody's
I
on the
think
same
that
page.
approach is,
yeah.
they're a
So
small
whether
town.
Joel or if you're comfortable or however,
Yeah,
who's
and
more,
I've got no problem talking to
Take-
them.
take a drawing of, and
Show them the plans.
it says there's gonna be an exhibit that isn't included in our
Yeah.
packet, but
Joel has like an exact legal of the easement that would be attached to it. And then
like a
he's got
drawing of their
And then
property.
he's got like the meets and bounds, and then he's got a drawing too showing.
Is this something that should be done pretty quick as far as the process?
No, I mean,
Okay.
there's no rush. I mean, obviously, the sooner we get the easement, the sooner we can start taking out bids and stuff
Okay.
like that, so, yeah. I can definitely, I'll email Joe and you together, see when we can get together, and then ask the owner when they can meet with us.
Okay. Might be nice to have the mayor there.
Sure, if he wants to be. You wanna be?
I can be.
Okay.
And I'll come.
When is
Also.
it gonna be?
Well,
Any idea?
We don't know yet, so I'll have to get together. I'll call you.
Any more questions on that?
There were only 2 drainage easements needed?
That's what he had.
Okay. And they're both on Smith Trail.
Yes.
Well, the
Might
other
be able to have a meeting with both of them.
Well, the one is owned by husband and wife, and the other ones are owned by like siblings. So that one might
Including Danny and Tessa.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're on both of them.
Oh.
So,
Yeah.
so you might be
Yes.
able to get a meeting with, I mean, you wouldn't have to meet with Danny and Tessa twice, unless they want to, but.
Yeah.
be. Yeah, it might take some time to get because I think those sibling doesn't live in town except for Dick, Tessa and Dick.
is,
So
Maybe they can be on FaceTime or something.
yeah, I'll ask them.
refresh my memory, is that drainage easement, is that gonna have a concrete drain through it?
I don't even, I mean,
I'm not
as the
even sure we
planning,
saw it.
I don't think that there's anything permanent being installed on their property. It's just an easement saying the city can actually drain the water to their property.
That's what I thought. If they're gonna build something, what do I need to change?
I take it as it's just giving us the right to make the street in such a way that the drain water goes into their property.
That's what I thought too.
Okay, we need to make sure that's what we're doing.
Because I didn't notice any plans on the drawing. All I saw was the openings where the drain water would go from the curb and gutter.
Cause
I didn't see any permanent structure.
I can remember when that, by the old VFW there, I've seen that water 2.5 foot deep right there all the way through that property. And it drained to the north and got over on Richard Smith, a pretty good lake.
Yeah, there's not gonna be, their drawing showed elevation as it currently sits, and then new elevation, they're gonna have to build up the crown of the street, cause right now,
I'm aware of that.
it goes back and forth, and so, I mean, I know they took their survey and their elevation, so.
What happens if we do that and we like get the easement for the drain of water and it goes past the 15 foot, floods somebody's property? Where's that gonna land at?
Well, we can only, I would think they can only engineer it for the road. They can't engineer it
It
for
will,
every possibility that, you know.
it will, I'm assuming that the exhibit that the surveyor is putting together will show, cause this shows, it says it's a 15-foot width. And so I'm wondering if it will be 15 foot wide, but show the path that the water's gonna take from their survey.
Yeah, and it does, and I thought I brought those with me tonight, but they show where it's crossing the property and where
Where the water would naturally
Yeah.
flow from one
Yeah.
side to the other.
But if they are gonna construct anything on there, I do need to change those.
I
Maybe they-
totally misunderstanding that then, because I
I
thought that was an
thought it was
actual
probably-
drain that's go in there, but
See that pad to keep it from
I
washing?
thought what you did, Aaron, where it just changed.
That's why I took it. I'd clarify with Joel and make sure we're all on the
Yeah.
same page here, cause
yeah.
I
There's
just
only,
assumed.
there's only 2% grade on that road from First Street to 281. I think, if I remember right.
Yeah, I
Looked
think
at
he
that.
said that there was 3/4 of an inch of fall over 980 feet.
Yeah, 2%.
It's nothing.
2%.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll get that checked out then.
Yes, I'll send update as soon as I get confirmation, but I'm sure that you guys are right, because I'm not good at reading them, so.
Good point, Bob.
Yeah, let's get clarification and then meet him in person.
Yeah, I think that'd be the best way to do it. Just talk to them and see.
Bring the drawings of the street. I mean, the benefit is that you never know how someone feels about it, but if I were in their shoes, putting in the paved street is increasing their property value.
I
mean,
agree.
I think it's,
Excuse me.
they don't have, if the only input they have is allowing us to drain some water on their property, so long as it's not gonna damage their property, this is going to increase their property
Value,
value without having any input, so.
You won't have a problem with Danny's house, I'm sure.
Well, it's a,
But that property between the north side of Danny's house, there used to be a set of trees there. And I'm telling you, that street from up that VFW used to get pretty deep.
Okay.
And when you put the street in, it's gonna go somewhere.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
So
I'm not trying to,
I could be
Derail.
wrong. What I'm taking it is that they're gonna put the crown on the street, curb and gutter, and then they're going to make the elevation of the street flow to these two drains. So everything that falls on the street, gets on the street, they're going to make the fall of the street go to two
Yeah.
drains. And so the current elevation and the current drainage of the street will no longer be reality. It's not gonna be like it is today.
so they're gonna raise that street, what, 3 foot, I think? is what we-
Whatever they
I
have to
don't-
do.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. But
I'm just trying to keep us out of trouble. We can't change the flow of the water. I think that's
But
state,
try-
federal law. Whatever drainage you got, you can't change it.
Well,
Well, you will.
it gets
with the
dicey with
structure.
waterways for
Yeah,
sure.
when
Well, you can if
structure.
with a waterway.
With waterways, and then just with as with anything, even through a river, you can get the appropriate permits to do so.
Okay.
But gets more complicated the bigger the waterway you get to.
Right.
Yeah.
What's next?
Oh, we're moving on if we can find an agenda.
Dangerous and unfit structure.
Resolution for 6th Street House is where we're at.
Here, have this one.
Okay, any more on Fifth Street? Moving on, new business. We got a dangerous and unfit structure, 209 West Sixth. Need a resolution for number 2025 and 04.
It's the same as
For
normal,
that?
just with the new address basically. Anything changed from what we've done in the past?
No, this is the same. We sent out the notice, had the hearing, they didn't show up. You guys made the decision that it needs to be taken care of, and then it looked like in the past we'd given them about 60 days from the time we passed this, so I picked the second council meeting in March and set that
Okay.
as the deadline.
I make a motion to pass resolution number 2025-04 for
9.
for the house on 6th Street.
Here.
Dangerous or not.
Yeah, for dangerous unfit structure, 209 West 6th Street.
Second.
Motion on the table by Aaron Gleason, second by Aaron Raines. Any more discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Passes 3-0. Okay, we've got some year-end transfers tonight.
Those are pretty straightforward, like I explained in my letters. Those are already budgeted, ready to go. We have to change some number because of the ending numbers, so.
Which numbers changed?
To
Assuming
the
water line
land bank.
or the
So
land
we
bank.
budget to transfer $20,000 to the land bank, but this year we came short, so we can only do 10 instead of 20.
Do we need a,
one big motion or you need a
Yeah.
motion for each?
Just one big motion, 24
Um,
year and transfer, that's perfect.
do you want each, I can list out each amount if you need it,
No, just give me
the total,
this right here and then the total.
okay.
entertain a motion for the transfer?
I'd make a motion to make, the 2024 year-end transfers. There are 10 total transfers totaling $291,198.
Second.
Got a motion on the table, we got a second by motion by Aaron Gleason, second by Aaron Raines. Any more discussion? All in favor? Passes 3-0. Okay, battery backup for server computer.
Yes.
Have we done this in the past? And this is
No, we bought the server itself
Okay.
recently, but now the backup for it, it's expired and actually no longer working, so we need to get that replaced.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
How much is it, okay?
24, 54, 63. Are they going back with the same brand if it's already failed?
No,
or-
actually, no, actually, we got this is a better one with more storage space, backup storage space, extra, just in case we're full with our regular one. So that's why a little bit pricier than what we usually get, but it's better. It will last us longer.
I'd make a motion to approve DBT's estimate for the battery backup on the server for any amount of $2,454.63.
Aaron Gleason's got a motion on the table. Here's a second.
Second.
Second by Aaron Raines. Any more discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Passes 3-0. Moving on down, I think we covered the comp time. Entertain a motion for an executive session, 5 minutes for discuss employee evaluation.
I'd make a motion to go to executive session for 5 minutes to return at 8:15 to discuss non-elected personnel to include the table.
And, return here.
Sorry. Motion
Call the regular council meeting back to order.
I gave it a-
Bob, you get this back to me?
Yes, I did.
I'd make a motion to give Dale Thomas a 30-cent raise to $15.30 per hour per his employee evaluation.
Got a motion on the table by Aaron Gleason.
Second.
Here's a second. Second by Sarah Wolf. All in favor? All opposed? Passes 3-0. Anything else that you guys want to talk about? If not, well, you know what we need to do.
I'd make a motion to adjourn regular council meeting January 21st, 2025.
Got a motion on the table to adjourn council meeting.
Second.
Got a second on it by Aaron Raines. All in favor? All opposed?
Everybody sign this.
Council meeting